It began like any other night in the universe. Stars blinking, blackness stretching endlessly, and a telescope quietly listening. But then something shifted. A signal, a distortion, a presence. The James Webb Space Telescope, the most advanced eye we've ever opened to the cosmos, didn't just glimpse into the void. It stared into something staring back. Not a planet, not a star, not a galaxy, but a shape moving with purpose, echoing patterns we thought only intelligence could design. Within hours, live feeds went silent. Scientists vanished from press briefings, and a name began circulating in whispered conversations. Neo. O-U-M-U-M-U a dot. It's not a comet. It's not a rock. It might not even be a machine in the way we understand machines. But what James Webb detected triggered something so chilling, so undeniable, the government scrambled. Observatories went dark, and even the most skeptical astrophysicists were left speechless. Because this time, we didn't just see something out there. We saw something looking right back. It was supposed to be a simple pass, another routine sky scan by the James Webb Space Telescope. But instead of empty space, it locked onto an object, drifting against known gravitational currents, shifting course like a living being evading detection. The object, oddly familiar, was shaped similarly to the infamous 2017 Oumuamua, but behaved radically differently. It decelerated, aligned with Earth's magnetic equator, and then it stopped. Not slowed, stopped. James Webb captured a burst of pulses in repeating prime numbers, a signature that in theoretical physics is the equivalent of a handshake in the universal language of intelligence. And then silence, not accidental silence, deliberate. NASA's live stream was pulled. Raw data disappeared from public repositories, but not before a handful of independent researchers downloaded the final frame, an image, blurred by radiation but unmistakable in symmetry. Not random, not natural, and certainly not benign. The aftermath was chaos disguised as control. Telescopes around the world tried to track the object, but lenses glitched and coordinates drifted. Atmospheric anomalies emerged, magnetic field fluctuations, localized energy spikes, and shortwave disruptions mimicking known Earth-based military frequencies. But no human source was found. The object was no longer a traveler. It had become an anchor, stationary, watching, and curiously unapproachable. Aerospace analysts reviewed James Webb's infrared recordings and were stunned. The object didn't emit heat like a comet or asteroid. It absorbed it. It wasn't being illuminated by our sun. It was dimming the area around it. In layman's terms, it was behaving like a black box, hiding its inner core while actively adapting its exterior. Chameleon in the void. And then came the whispers that what we were seeing wasn't a visitor, but a reminder, a system that had been here long before us and was only now choosing to be seen. April 7th changed everything. CERN, monitoring magnetic alignment for its particle collisions, recorded a synchronized pulse 0.72 seconds long, felt simultaneously across the globe. No solar flare, no geomagnetic storm, no known explanation. Yet within hours, a signal returned from Voyager 1, our spacecraft, now over 14 billion miles away. The timing was exact. The encoding was unprecedented. The signal mirrored the same pulse captured by James Webb, layered with harmonic structures, and encoded intervals only possible through quantum manipulation. Voyager 1 couldn't have generated this on its own. Something had used it, hijacked it, to respond, to confirm. At this point, silence was no longer ignorance. It was suppression. And the question shifted from what is it to why now? And worse, what? Did we activate? Theories multiplied. Brian Cox broke ranks, suggesting the object might not be a probe, but a node, a silent fragment of a much larger system. Think of it as a camera within a surveillance web, not interested in communication, but in calibration, judging evolution, measuring chaos. The James Webb Telescope, meant to be our instrument of curiosity, had stumbled into a system that may have never intended to be found. One theory gaining traction: the universe is veiled, not empty, but hidden. And once a civilization reaches a certain level of detection power, the veil parts and those behind it take notice. Neo-Oumuamua may not be just one object. It may be the first revealed limb of a structure spanning solar systems, not aggressive, not passive, but strategic, cold. Watching as data analysts pored over the compressed streams from James Webb's final transmissions before the signal blackout, something unexpected emerged. A pattern not visual, but spatial. Embedded in the spectral distribution of light across the object was a series of positional shifts that, when plotted across time, formed a trajectory, but not a random one. It traced an arc through space, aligned with three known exoplanetary systems: TRAPPIST-1, Proxima Centauri b, and a third unnamed system recently redacted from the NASA Exoplanet Archive. These were not just destinations. They formed the corners of a triangle too precise to be a coincidence. And if you extended the final vector from that triangular path back toward Earth, it intersected with Voyager 2's trajectory nearly to the decimal. This was no aimless wanderer. It was part of a lattice and interstellar geometry. What we were looking at wasn't a solitary artifact, but one node of a system already mapped, already in motion, already here. After the object's appearance, a wave of sudden protocol changes swept across global observatories and space agencies. Unmarked aircraft arrived at high-altitude labs. Independent radio astronomers reported black-suited officials confiscating hard drives and observational data. But perhaps most alarming of all was the change to the James Webb Telescope's mission schedule classified overnight, with its public dashboard wiped of all deep space observations from the last 6 days. One leaked document, anonymously posted on a secure astrophysics forum, revealed the phrase, "Event Class C observational interference detected. Do not engage." No one had seen this classification before. The suggestion: not only had Webb made contact, it had violated a boundary, a cosmic firewall. The AI on board had not simply recorded something it shouldn't have. It had interacted. And from that moment forward, Earth was under quiet quarantine, not by the stars, but by those watching behind them. In an effort to understand the object's purpose, quantum learning models were deployed to simulate its behavior. The results were unnerving. Every simulation ended the same way, with the AI halting its own process, not from error, but as a form of submission. The object's geometry induced a kind of recursive loop in the simulation logic, like a visual paradox that collapses logic upon itself. In plain terms, it was a mental kill switch, a shape so sophisticated that even artificial cognition surrendered before it. Physicists began whispering that we weren't just witnessing a structure, we were confronting an idea, a conceptual weapon forged not with steel or fire, but with meaning itself. And if that was true, then whoever designed it didn't just want to be hidden. They wanted to remain incomprehensible. The final analysis that broke through censorship came from an international team based in Chile. After bypassing restricted web archives, they reconstructed a spectral fingerprint from the object's surface. What they discovered silenced the room. Hidden in the interference pattern of the returning light was a sequence of repeated molecular bonds, not random, not chemical, but biological. A chain so similar to DNA that one of the researchers fainted on the spot. But here's the twist. It wasn't Earth DNA. It was an analog sharing over 60% similarity with known amino acid sequences, but arranged in a direction counter to life as we know it, a mirrored code, an inverse of our biology. As if someone or something was showing us a version of ourselves from the other side of creation. Not a threat, not a message. A reflection, For years, we believed the James Webb Telescope would bring us answers about galaxies, black holes, and the birth of stars. But what if that belief was naive? What if its true purpose was never to observe, but to provoke? With a single image, a single pulse, and a single deviation from natural law, we crossed a threshold no species was meant to cross alone. We didn't just find something strange in space. We found something staring directly back at us, an intelligence. So advanced, it communicates in silence, commands in geometry, and reveals itself not through intention, but through precision. This isn't science fiction. This is the quiet, data-driven, camera-documented unfolding of a reality we're just beginning to understand. And if that hidden object, Neo-Oumuamua, or whatever name history will give it, is a mirror of ourselves from a deeper timeline, a parallel existence, or a watching intelligence, then the world has officially changed. Maybe forever. If this revelation shook your perception of reality even a little, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, because now the universe is clearly not silent.